First and foremost, I want to introduce you to Murray Hall. Murray Hall is a regional manager of apprenticeship services with Skilled Trades Ontario. They're a key partner for our industry, obviously, looking after the apprenticeship cycle and making sure that the apprentices are looked after, and we see them from the inception as a first year right through when they're completing their apprenticeship and becoming journeymen for you companies as valued employees. Murray's going to be talking about the value of apprenticeship, building talent within, and how investing in apprenticeship can build your business and strengthen it as well. Again, please welcome Murray.
Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you very much for inviting me to speak with you today. And what a great day for golf. I'm officially jealous. I would love to be on that course today, but unfortunately I'll have to wait till next time. So I'm going to give you a presentation regarding around the benefits of apprenticeship, and I'm going to really address it in a couple different ways. I'm going to address it with myself as a registered trade person, so different perspectives. I'm a registered trade person. I've employed apprentices. I've sponsored apprentices. I have taught apprentices within the college system as well, and now I'm here, happily talking to you from the lens of Skilled Trades Ontario as a regional manager. So, for my trade, I am a Red Seal cook, certified executive chef, and a certified chef de cuisine. I spent 35 years in hospitality, and within those 35 years, I've sponsored multiple apprentices through the apprenticeship pathway, and I've also taught at a couple of the local GTA colleges as well. So I can see the perspective of the employer as a tradesperson, as a sponsor, and also as the instructor as well, but then also on the back end as now the regional manager for the apprenticeship services. So as we look at the value of apprenticeship, there is some very big numbers on the screen behind me. So this is just coming into the construction phase right now. So we're going to be looking for roughly another 100,000 construction workers. That's just going to meet the needs of the infrastructure for housing and the infrastructure that's currently in place now. Out of that 100,000, we're going to be looking for roughly 51,000 new apprentices. That is construction only. That doesn't say anything about motive and power, industrial, service, just construction. So there's going to be a massive need for apprentices and a massive need to have yourselves as employers bring in that new talent and train those apprentices to continue to push this industry forward. Also, we're looking at what does it cost to be an apprentice? We're going to talk about grants in a second as well too, but for every dollar you invest in the apprenticeship process, we're looking at almost getting $1.50 back when it comes into value of having that apprentice within your system. Looking at the apprentice, now where we kind of pull this number from is really coming down to declined turnover, retention, loyalty, improved safety, higher productivity as you're training your apprentices moving through the apprenticeship pathways. And also you get the ability to train an apprentice to your specs, to your company. When I was an employer, I would have apprentices coming to me. I would almost take the green apprentices all the time because I could train them to my own specs, to my own way of running that kitchen, preparing those meals, and I didn't have to correct any sort of bad habits as well. So having that value, having that commitment from me as a sponsor to that apprentice to really give them the opportunity created loyalty. And loyalty created stability in the schedule, stability in the job force, and stability in my operations moving forward. So it was great to have that opportunity to really look at attacking some of those green apprentices. So the next one here, we're going to talk about the infographic on the side. This is a new infographic that's come out for sponsors within the apprenticeship journey. But right now, Skilled Trades Ontario has taken over the apprenticeship pathways piece of April 2025. Within that transition, I'll be honest, there were a few hiccups and there were a few bumps. We've moved past that now, and we're seeing that we've got a really great stable team working on some of the massive numbers here of over 160,000 calls, 80,000 emails that were answered. We've also expanded the skilled trades operation to a 7 to 7 time frame, so the apprentice or the sponsor can call outside of work hours and still get support. just talking about the dollar and the $1.47, we kind of addressed that with the last one of how the investment comes back into your company as hosting an apprentice. And also some of the other programs that are out there now. So we also have the OEAP program, which is a great program that we've seen a lot of good intake through across the 4 sectors. Specifically, we've seen construction maintenance, motive and power, service. So we've seen a lot of stuff coming through with OEAP students, a great initiative there. And also the ministry is throwing in some grants. So some of the grants that are available right now there's more coming. So some of the grants that are available for the provincial grants are $600 for tools that the apprentice can get as a grant for the construction trades. So if they need that money's there and that's available. Some of the achievement grants, achievement incentive program, that is a program that has to be applied for, and there are certain parameters within that program that you would be able to look at, you'd be able to review, and then apply online. And I believe the grants can be up to $17,000 for the life of that apprentice that you would have within your operation. Another grant that is available as well is also supporting Red Seal grants. So as a Red Seal trade, the apprentices are then the apprentice goes into the Red Seal trade, then they get the opportunity as well to apply for an interest-free loan of up to $4,000 to also have that also incentive really, or that also comfort as well as they go through the apprenticeship pathway. So provincially, this is what we have. Federally, the Spring Economic Outlook came out probably about a month ago, and there was a very big push for apprenticeship programs within that program. And there was a lot of highlights around some additional benefits that could potentially be layered in on top of the provincial benefits that were currently available to you all now. So some of those benefits are coming up, and I really hope they do come sooner than later, is we're looking at a $10,000 wage incentive for qualifying businesses, small, medium, and large. Looking for apprenticeship grants. So there could be a grant money that is given to the apprentice and the sponsor as they complete the cycles in the apprenticeship process. So within the 313A trade, then that is going to be a 3-year trade, 9,000 hours. So every year the apprentice can get potentially some grant money given to them, and also yourself as the employer could potentially get grant money as well. Also, there is a completion bonus that they rolled out, and this was something that the province of Ontario had a couple years ago. That was going to phase into another incentive program, but the completion bonus is up to $5,000 for Red Seal trades for apprentices. So there is a lot of incentive coming in right now to the apprentice, and hopefully to yourselves as the sponsors, to look at bringing in that fresh new talent and training them to the needs of what we're looking for in the industry right now. Moving into our little infograph here on the side, in the coming weeks, Skilled Trades Ontario is going to be pulling out an employer toolkit. So this is something new, and it really kind of gives you a fun little infograph on the pathways of apprenticeship. And I just want to go over that right now. The apprentices right now, they also have a very similar roadmap, a very similar chart to explain the pathways to apprenticeship. And a lot of the times when I'm doing presentations to students at events, level ups, different sort of community events, I'm talking to apprentices, I'm talking to parents as well, and discussing the apprenticeship pathways. But for yourselves, looking at the sponsorship journey, if we go here just to number 1, the first part of it is taking on an apprentice. What does that apprentice mean to you? Is that person passionate? Do they have the initiative? Do they have the drive to really be fully vested within this trade? And that was something I looked at when it came to hiring cook apprentices. As someone who hired a lot of apprentices, people would come to me and say, hey, I want to work for you, I want to have your apprenticeship, I want to be part of this team. And I would look at them specifically and go, okay, first of all, you're going to work 6 months with me. I'm going to see what you can do first before I even think about signing you up as an apprentice. I know here at ORAC you have a great apprenticeship screening program that takes a lot of that away as well too. That gives you a great resource and a talent pool that you can pull from. But finding that right apprentice that's going to fit your company model, your company values, may take a little bit of time. And having that conversation with the apprentice to really go over what does this industry, what does this trade look like? What is my day-to-day? And I found when I was bringing my apprentices on is really having those honest conversations. What does this trade look like? And one of my instructors many, many years ago when I was in college told me, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So the passion and the drive that the apprentice has to have to meet your needs and the industry's needs and the trade requirements is something that you're definitely going to have to vet as you're bringing in that apprentice. I found myself personally as an employer having those honest conversations, and especially as a cook. It would be okay. As a cook, you're going to work every single weekend. You are going to work every single holiday. When it is a birthday, when it's your mother's birthday, your birthday, when it's Christmas, you're working. That is the life of a cook. Is that the life of an air conditioning mechanic? I'm not 100% sure. I hope not. Maybe that's just a service side. But looking at having those conversations, saying, okay, you are going to be potentially on rooftops in the middle of summer installing air conditioning units, and it's going to be hot, it's going to be sweaty, it's going to be temperature, you're going to have to work at heights. Whatever that conversation is having and painting that full picture for the apprentice before they move into that trade. I was recently at a Support Ontario Youth Boot Camp, and the boot camps are a great way for apprentices to, well, not apprentices, potential employees to get to meet students or people that are interested in those trades. And one of the presenters was a carpenter. And he came in, I think he just finished building a house. He was covered from head to toe in sawdust, and it was great. But he came in and he did a little brief presentation about exactly what it meant to be a carpenter. And he really raised a lot of eyebrows. A lot of the students that were there were just kind of, okay, that sounds pretty intense. But it was an honest conversation. And there were some people that were a little bit taken back, or there were some people there that were nodding their head going, yeah, I'm all in on this. So finding that right apprentice is definitely key. Printing out the logbook. So on the Skilled Trades Ontario website, it has recently been revamped. We are constantly building that website out. And that really is your first point of contact when it comes to looking at the apprenticeship pathway and the apprenticeship journey. But the main thing we're pushing is the logbook. Now, back before Skilled Trades Ontario, when OCOT was inception, and OCOT's now been wound down, there would be a lot of ministry representatives that would come to you, they would hand you a book, and here would be your logbook. Here would be all the tasks and the competencies and the requirements that you would need to know to be eligible to write within that trade. So the logbook is very thick. All the logbooks now have been digitized and are all available in PDF formats on the Skilled Trades Ontario website. Within that logbook is the competencies there that you yourself as employer and the apprentice needs to look at to say, can I get excited about this? Is there items on here that is going to be, you as a sponsor are going to be able to train the apprentice on? And I'll give you an example again based on my experience, is as a chef, I would look at the logbook and I would go to my apprentices and say, I can't teach you baking and cake and pastry arts. I can't do it. The facility, the company, the hotel, where I'm working right now, where your apprenticeship is taking place, we don't have that ability to teach you that specific piece of this trade to the degree that you need to be proficient in it. So the way around that was having that conversation. The apprentice knew what I was talking about. They knew what the limitations were, but they also knew that they can pick up that trade in the schooling cycle, which is number 3 and 4 here in that little circle that we're going to talk about in a sec. But there was that realization that the logbook, the capacities I had as an employer to prescribe that logbook and look at those competencies, and there was that honest conversation again with the apprentice to say what I could or could not do. So, but I could still bring the apprentice in because during the schooling portion, I would take the apprentice and go, you're going to go to your instructor that's teaching baking and pastry and cake arts to say, I need to be able to learn this, I need to be all in on this one, and I need to be able to make sure because I'm not getting that training at my place of employment right now. So there is, the logbook does highlight those areas where you may look at and go, well, I've never done that. How do I manage and how do I identify within the logbook with yourself as a sponsor and the apprentice to say, maybe there is a gap here and there, and how do we fill that gap? So the logbook is very key. The logbook also serves another purpose as well, is the logbook tracks the competencies and the skills of the apprentice. So we love depending on what model you have, the logbook would be great if we were able to have the logbook maybe quarterly. I know I used to do quarterly, maybe once every 4 months. I would get my apprentices together and we would sign off on their competencies. Do you know how to do X? Do you know how to do Y? Are you proficient in that? Or do you need a little bit more training? It identified to me a training plan that I had for my apprentices. It identified for me maybe the lack of a couple areas where I had the scope of the duties for those people in. And it's just, the logbook gives you the ability to hold the apprentice accountable, but it also gives the apprentice, the flip side, to hold you as a sponsor accountable as well to their training. Within that logbook is also the entire, I think it's 120 questions, is the 313A test. All the questions are based out of the logbook. So for the apprentice to be successful in passing that red seal test, that final level exam, they are going to have to know and understand and be very proficient with what's happening in the logbook. So logbook, extremely key. Teaching on the job. The beauty of apprenticeship and the selling feature is you earn while you learn. So the apprenticeship pathway is part of that pathway where there's a schooling portion. So out of this year of schooling portion, there is 2 months a year. That 3 times, it's a 3-year program, 9,000 hours. So 2 months out of the year, they're going to go to school. How you manage that schooling expectations is something that, I'll be honest, if everybody here was to sign up an apprentice today, the schooling options are still being housed by the ministry. So the ministry is going to drop that apprentice's name within the schooling cycle, and between 12 to 14 months, you are going to expect to see an offer for school. Now, I don't know, air conditioning season, I'm assuming June, July, August, September is probably the height of the season. It's probably pretty busy. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. You may not be able to put that apprentice into school if you have that offer right now, because that's the height of your business. You're going to want to have those extra hands to make sure that your business is successful. So looking at the apprenticeship pathway is, do you have that conversation with the apprentice and say, yes, I'm going to bring you in July 1st and you're going to start the apprenticeship process, knowing in the back of your head that they are probably going to get a school offer 12 to 14 months of the following year within that cycle. Does that cycle fit within your business model? Or have that conversation with the apprentice and say, yes, I'm going to sign you up, but you may not be able to go on the height of the season. You may have to go into our shoulder seasons, which is probably, I'm guessing here, the fall, maybe the spring is when the shoulder seasons will probably come in. So again, those conversations that you're having with the apprentices really paints a full picture of what it is to be working within this trade, and hopefully kind of really sets up the expectations so they know full clarity of what's going in. Once the apprentice is in school, they're going to go to school for 3 years. Every year, between 12 to 14 months, again, they're going to get an offer for schooling, and it's imperative that they pass their schooling portion. The schooling program is heavily subsidized by the ministry. Most out-of-pocket expense for the apprentice for the 2-month schooling portion, and I've seen varying amongst trades, is between about $400 and $700 for 2 months of schooling, full-time block programs within the college system, which is a fantastic deal. Once the apprentice is in school, I know myself as an employer, I would go back to my apprentices and kind of give them a little bit of the stink eye and go, okay, you are passing everything within that program. There is no messing around. Make sure they're passing and they're fully committed. If an apprentice does fail one of the reportable subjects, we can get them potentially back in to replace and redo that specific credit within that block program. But if the apprentice fails 2 or more reportable subjects, there is the full possibility they're going to have to wait another year and repeat level 1 or level 2 or level 3. So it is very, very important. That's probably one of the big sticking points that we're seeing, is what apprentices are coming to us saying, I haven't been given an offer for school, or I'm given a repeat offer for level 1 all the time. We go in on the back end, have a quick look at it and say, okay, well, you failed 3 reportable subjects. You're going to have to repeat the whole program. And that can set the apprentice back 6 months to a year. That also sets you back 6 months to a year. Because if you're making that commitment to that apprentice for, say, a 3-year program, they're going to work with you. Hopefully, after that 3-year program, you're going to retain that apprentice. You're going to now have a Red Seal journey person on your team that now can also sponsor an apprentice as well within your organization. So, promoting school, giving the apprentices the ability to go to school is great, but also checking up on them and making sure that if they are having struggles or they're having concerns with the schooling process, that you as an employer and a sponsor are able to reach out to them and provide some support as needed. We do have some supports with Skilled Trades Ontario after the schooling programs that are coming through and after you've taken your final level test, but the schooling portion is solely on the apprentice through that pathway. Once their schooling portion is over, they're going to complete their apprenticeship, and they're all done. They've got their hours, they've checked off all their competencies, you've looked at their logbook, and you are going to make an attestation with an apprentice completion form with the apprentice to say that yes, the apprentice is ready to write that Red Seal exam. And they are fully trained to all the values and all the requirements that are in the logbook. The apprentice takes the test. I remember back in the day we used to actually take the logbook, so we have to sign the logbook and everything. We don't need that anymore. All we need is the apprentice completion form. And when the apprentice completes that form, it comes back to us, and now they are ready to receive their certificate of apprenticeship. They're ready to receive their provisional certificate of qualification, and more importantly, they're ready to write that final level exam. And then after the final level exam, it's hopefully they stay with you, maybe they go somewhere else, maybe they're joining another company. But the idea is that within the apprenticeship pathway, having those conversations and having that hands-on experience with the apprentice, it builds loyalty, it builds trust, it builds your brand as a place preferred where the apprentices want to work. They want to work for this company. They want to work because there is growth, there is dedication, there's trust, there's team building. All the things that make your business fantastic and great is what is going to attract those apprentices towards you. So just want to touch base a little bit. So at the end of the apprenticeship program, we're talking about exams. So as of February 2025 this year, Skilled Trades Ontario took over all final level exams across the province for Red Seal trades and Ontario certified trades. So within that model, we do have 24 training delivery agents that are set aside for delivering final level exams. And the training delivery agents are located across the province. Within the central region, we have 5. We have predominantly colleges. We have Durham College, Centennial College, Midland College, Georgian College in Midland. We also have Casaloma College, and we also have Humber College as well too. So those are testing sites that any apprentice can book through the Stowe portal, go through the site, and actually book their final level exam. Additionally, we are also offering final level exams on the last day of class. So with that, when the apprentice is going through their level 3 training, they're going on their last day, we are going in as Skilled Trades Ontario with their final level exams for those apprentices who are ready, willing, and able to write their final level ticket. By doing this, we want to make sure that we are trying to increase the pass rates. So across Canada right now, unfortunately, Ontario has the lowest pass rate for final level exams. Now, that can be said in a couple different ways and be spun a couple different ways. We can say population based on what our population is versus Saskatchewan or Alberta, but still, you can kind of funny the numbers. We still need to improve those numbers of the apprentices passing that level exam on the first try. So by us going into the colleges with those level exams and the union halls as well that are providing final level training programs, is we are hopefully getting that apprentice at their highest possible retention of learning. We're getting them in a safe space that is they are comfortable with and they know. They know where the washroom is, they know where the coffee is, they know where the parking is. So it's reducing that anxiety about writing a test. And it's a long test. This is the final hurdle that your apprentice will have to get their CFQ and their Red Seal ticket. So we're trying to do what we can, obviously not giving them the answers. But as I said, as a cook, you really don't want my help in this test because I know nothing about air conditioning. I know I turn the button on, the house goes cold, that's it. Okay? I know nothing. So you don't want my help in those answers. But we're trying to make it comfortable for the apprentice so they can be as successful as we can possibly get them to that Red Seal ticket and to write that exam. Exams are stressful. My team, when we go into the operations, we have a slew of bad jokes to kind of break the ice, and it kind of helps. But we have seen, with doing this back starting in February, on a much larger scale, we have seen an uptick. We have seen not massive, we went from 50% to 70%, but we have seen a positive trend with apprentices passing their exam on the first time. And the first time as well, too, for the exam is covered by the ministry. There is no fee for writing your first exam. If you fail the first exam and you're not successful, there is a $169.50 fee that you'll have to pay to rewrite the test. So for a lot of apprentices out there, that is enough of an incentive to say, okay, I'm gonna have to study, I'm gonna have to pay attention, and we're gonna have to pull all this together. So just a couple of numbers up here as well too. There is over 7,000 candidates we've done tests for right now, which represents roughly 25% of our annual volume. The GTA, we do final level exam tests multiple times a week and multiple different trades throughout that whole system as well. So being able to offer that exam accessibility to the apprentices is key. If you want to write the exam, your apprentice is ready to write the exam, your wait times can be as less as 2 weeks if they don't fall under that final level program where they were able to take that exam. So that's just something that we've been working very hard on with Stowe to make sure that we're making that accessibility more available for everybody. So back last year in April 2025, when Skilled Trades Ontario took over the apprenticeship process for the Ministry of Labour, our Skilled Trades Ontario broke the province of Ontario into 4 separate regions. So my region, Central Region right now, really goes from all the way to Port Hope, all the way over to Burlington, all the way up to Muskoka. That is my region. And so our other regional managers, my colleagues, Tanya Hill is based out of Ottawa, and she has Pembroke, I think, Belleville, Cornwall, and then Peter Picciolo is in the north. He's based out of Thunder Bay. He takes all the way over into Kenora, all the way through Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, North Bay, and also Thunder Bay as well. We're also looking for someone for the Western region as well, and the Western region regional manager would cover everything from kind of London all the way west, including Niagara Falls, Sarnia, and Windsor. So a big corridor right down there as well too. Now, one of the mandates we were given when we first joined Skilled Trades Ontario is to build out an apprenticeship advisor role. So we wanted to build that out, and last October we did a mass hiring of apprentice advisors, which is really our boots on the ground new ecosystem of support for apprentices and sponsors within the Apprenticeship Pathway program. Now, the 1-800 number with Skilled Trades Ontario, the info box of Skilled Trades Ontario is great resources that are there, managed by a very dedicated and highly skilled team to answer your questions. But sometimes you want to talk to that person. You want to talk to Murray. And Murray has an understanding of your business. Murray understands that you have 4 apprentices. Murray understands the needs of that. And having that building relationship, that one-on-one relationship, is something that we've seen phenomenal success in the last 7-8 months, where we've had the apprenticeship advisors, boots on the ground, reaching out to sponsors and apprentices and really building those local connections and helping everybody within the apprenticeship pathways. So that was something that we've done across the province in all the 4 regions right now. So if you want any contact information, if you're out of a different region or you know someone in a different region that needs support, please feel free to reach out. Happy to provide all that contact information. But there is definitely more ability for you to get one-on-one support. Some of the other ideas we're working on is marketing and outreach. So with the marketing and outreach stuff, we have found phenomenal hits on Snapchat. Now, I have 2 daughters. They love Snapchat. I don't get Snapchat. I don't get the funny faces. I don't get the click and picture and stuff. But whatever, I'm older, so I don't get that. But Snapchat has been one of our highest engagement media campaigns that we've had with younger audiences. So we wanted to start that conversation about skilled trades at a younger age. So there is still a stigma out there with skilled trades. I remember when I was going through high school, many, many years ago. If you were deemed as someone that was not going to be very successful in high school, you were deemed towards the trades. You can be an auto body guy, you can go be a mechanic, you can go into service. Unfortunately, that stigma is still out there right now. And there has been, and we're working very, very hard to move beyond that because the trades are very specific. They are very complicated. I've had a look in some of the carpentry exams and some of the mobile tower crane exams, and I look at the math on the mobile tower crane exam, lost, no idea. Wind shear and boom rates and drops and load variables. I mean, it is just crazy algebra on that stuff. So, and I would imagine the same thing is within this trade as well too, where it comes to gas and pressure and valves, all that kind of stuff. It is not for the person that is not going to be successful. It is for a highly educated person that's going to be jumping into these trades. So we want to attack that at a young age. Trades is a great alternative pathway if you're looking at, if you're a hands-on person, you want to develop those skills. My eldest daughter wants to be a welder and a millwright, and she absolutely loves, she's a great welder. She's way better than me, right? Not that I was coming from cooking-wise, I've dabbled, but she's fantastic at it, and she loves it, and that's what she wants to do. So again, I'm fully supporting that, but there has been a big push from high schools, career guidance counselors, college, university. College, university. Everybody needs to go to college, everybody needs to go to university. Nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But the skilled trades sector has been underrepresented in that high school setting and in that high school format. So we are working very closely right now with the high school, with the regional school boards as well, to make sure that we are at least coming into the conversation as skilled trades. If someone likes to work with their hands, if someone's passionate about what they want to do, then promote that. If it's going to university, great. If it's going to be a welder or a millwright or an air conditioning mechanic, fine. Let's make sure we have those conversations at a younger age. There's been a lot of hits on our website as well too. Over 500,000 hits there, and a lot of stuff done digitally as well. Within, again, that whole sector of going into the student, we want to talk to students. Level Up is a program. In 2025, we ran over 60,000 students through the Level Up program throughout the province, which is, I think that grew by almost 25% from the year previous. So really, really great retention. We are going all the way from grade 9 all the way to grade 12. Within the Level Up programs, we've also have different sort of nights where the schools will bus in students. They'll go through the whole program. They'll see all our vendors, anybody who wants to be there to present, talk about their different trade sectors that they're in. We've got a lot of interaction there with the students coming in. But then on the afternoon or the evening side of it, then we have those really, I find, more meaningful information sessions where we're actually talking to the parents of the students. So the parents are coming in because the student has come with their class potentially. They've seen something that excites them. Now the parents want to come in. And now that much more fuller, engaging conversation is happening. So there is a lot of action. Level Up is a great program to be involved in if you haven't heard of it before. The new dates are listed on the Skilled Trades Ontario website. I believe they're on LinkedIn as well. And it's a great piece to be involved in, and it's really, really good to actually meet some of those potential new employees that you could have coming through the system in a couple of years. So how to reach us. This is just, I'm almost done here, it's my last slide. So how to reach us, I'll leave this up for a little bit too if you want to take a picture of it. There's some information there on our phone numbers. If you're looking for a meeting or a presentation, stakeholder inquiries is another good one too. But also for TDAs, for training delivery agents, large and medium sponsors. There are group account coordinators that can help facilitate that apprenticeship program as well. And also answer your questions too. For apprentices, again, the extended call hours from 7 to 7 was something that was rolled out towards the end of last year. And then some of the phone numbers, both toll-free and local numbers as well too, there for everybody. Now, I'll leave everybody with this. When I first joined Skilled Trades Ontario about a year ago, I remember I was teaching at the time. And I remember going to my dean and I said, that's it, thank you very much. I'm taking this new job in Skilled Trades Ontario. And he looked at me, obviously he was a little bit upset that I wasn't, I was leaving the college scenario. But the one thing he told me kind of struck with me was clean up the black hole that is apprenticeship. I didn't know what he was talking about. I was like, what do you mean? I don't get this. You know, I've been part of the apprenticeship process for over 20 years. What are you not understanding about it? And then when I joined Skilled Trades Ontario and I started talking to, events like all of this, public events, speaking events, talking to apprentices, talking to parents, it's confusing. It is a little bit daunting. Where do you start? Where do you go to? Who do you reach out for? Okay? So as myself as a regional manager, my team, we're here to support you. We're here to help. We're here to answer your questions. I've got a ton of business cards over here. They're free to anybody who wants one, okay? So no problems at all, but the support is here. The website is there. The directions on the website we've tried to make it as clear and as self-serving as possible. So you can do everything on the website from setting up a sponsor agreement to signing up your apprentice. Everything is available on the Skilled Trades Ontario portal and on our website. But if you need any help with that, please feel free to reach out to myself or a member of my team. Happy to support you. Thank you very much, everybody. So, I think I have a few more minutes. If there are any questions, I will be around for the duration of the morning. If you want to come, I'm just at the table over there, so happy to have one-on-one conversations. But are there any questions I can answer right now? Yes, in the back.
Who's responsible to ensure the apprentice touches whatever that percentage, 80% of the tasks that are in their apprenticeship?
The responsibility is based on the sponsor and the apprentice. So that's why the logbook is one of the key things that we try to push for, is that if you're not able to meet the standards that's within that logbook, then reach out to that school, reach out to that apprentice and say, you're going to have to learn this portion in school. And that is something that you can, once they show proficiency in that portion, then you as a sponsor, if you're comfortable with that, then you can sign off on that task for them. But the idea is to make sure that all those tasks that are in the logbook are at least identified, because the questions for the exam are based out of the logbook. So one of the things I find, and I'll use carpentry for an example here, is carpentry, there is footings, there's plumbing, there's electrical and carpentry. And myself, being in trades as much as I have actually dabbled in carpentry as well. And in building sites, a carpenter is never going to touch a plumbing stuff. He's never going to touch electrical stuff. He's going to do carpentry stuff. They're not going to do footings. But in the scope of the carpentry trade, those items are listed in there. And then if an apprentice hasn't looked at that within the logbook, they get the test, and all of a sudden they're fried. They don't know what's going on, and they fail the test. And then it's the back and forth. Why is this here? What's going on? Why was I never shown this? Everything's written in the logbook. So that's why it's kind of imperative to have you yourself as a sponsor and the apprentice look at that logbook, track the competencies, track the hours, and track that knowledge to make sure they're successful with that final level exam. Thank you. Yes?
We've had some clients that have reached out to us asking for validation of the Red Seal certificate for a worker per se. In the past, we've often went on to the public registry, type in the person's name, the worker's name, and get his status. Often some of those either third-party, safety compliance portals, they haven't recognized it because they want to see the Red Seal certificate. Whereas the Red Seal certificate that the worker has or we may have on file may not show a status. It shows the issue date of 2011, whereas it doesn't show that it's current. Whereas Skilled Trades Ontario shows it, shows the Red Seal certificate's state, so to speak. Has there been any thoughts about bringing a certificate type aspect to Skilled Trades public registry or no?
That's a great question. Right now, what we're doing is we have their certificate of qualification, so their CFQ, and you also have your Red Seal ticket as well too. And the certificate of qualification will be on the public registry, but I find this is a compulsory trade so they would have to pay that licensing fee every year, and if the licensing fee is not paid, then potentially it will not show up on the public registry. And that's one of the items that I think, to your point, is you have to pay that licensing fee, otherwise you're not going to show up on the public registry. I hope, does that kind of answer the question? Okay, thank you. But yeah, happy to expand that afterwards, no problems at all. Any other questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
Situations where the apprentice doesn't go to school, there's a challenge to the exam or contracts for employers that signs up for the book. There's no one checking the book anymore. And then it's just looking for an attestation. So someone wants to get a jury person, this person's worked in the trade for years and years. They don't want to go to school. What do we do to
Absolutely. So on the Skilled Trades Ontario website, there is a trade equivalency application. And in the trade equivalency application, that is for people exactly in that scenario. They've worked in that trade for a number of years, they're proficient in that trade, and they want to challenge the exam. So within the trade equivalency application form, it's about 3 or 4 pages of information that's needed there regarding work experience, resumes, letters from employers, and as I can definitely provide the link for you to that. Oh, encourage them to go to school. Yeah. School is through the apprenticeship pathway. So that's really the only way they're going to be able to get that schooling pathway. That's going to be ministry funded. Now, if that apprentice wants to go to, say, a college program and do the college program, that could be anywhere from some accelerated courses of 3 to 6 months to even almost a year, and to get that kind of accreditation. But to go to the actual schooling or to push them into a schooling, that would be an apprenticeship pathway.
Is there any way to force them to do it? We're finding that they don't want to do it. They work for mom and dad. They have the skills. They're just going to go challenge. They don't have the same skill set as someone who goes to school. You go to school, you learn the trade, you learn the stuff that you're not going to learn on the tools. You need to go to school. And it's how do we get them there without, if you guys aren't looking at the code book or the handbook, honestly, no one's filling that thing out. They're just signing the attestation saying they have the skill set, because you guys aren't checking, who's going to bother doing it? Contractors all want, I need journey persons, but it's not helping the trade. You're getting journey persons who don't know what they're doing.
And that's, well, I mean, the journey person threshold is taking that final level exam. So that's where the threshold really ends, and they would be proficient within that trade because they've passed the exam, is where we kind of go through. But I know where you're coming from on this, where you want to make sure that there is the ability that that person is trained moving forward. So even with, like what I said about the trade equivalency application, we call it a T application, it is a very, very hard application to actually get accreditation for. So for anybody who puts that application in, there is, I think it's almost like a 40% or even lower than that will be actually going through and would actually get the ability to have their previous experience identified so they could be ready to kind of skip over the apprenticeship process and take that final level exam. Getting people excited about the apprenticeship process is one of the things that, hopefully we can do within this group, but hopefully we can do within other sectors as well too, and just create that as a different pathway. But forcing someone to school, unfortunately, we can't look at. But you're right, though, with the logbook. We don't actually look at the logbook right now as something that we would validate to say that, did you check all the competencies off? We don't do that anymore. Because, to your point as well, anybody can just sign that book and go through it. But the attestation letter that comes from yourself as a sponsor and the apprentice is to say that, yes, this apprentice is ready to move to that final level exam. But anyway, I'm happy to have more of a conversation with you afterwards, if that's fine. Any last minute questions? I think my time is up almost.
Just a quick one.
Yes.
Go ahead. You mentioned boots on the ground. Does that mean you've got people out there who could come to our office and talk to our apprentices and kind of be responsible for it?
Absolutely. Yep.
How do we find that person?
I'll give you my card. All right, you have my card, so absolutely. No problem. You have my card, absolutely. Give me a shout. I will make that happen, no problems at all.
Thank you.
I'm just going to add.
Yes.
I'm just going to add something to the question about the validating with the training standards. So
Absolutely.
we're a TDA.
Yes.
At our JTAC, and we ensure that the apprentices fill out those books and they're signing off on all the training that they're required to.
Yep.
So we don't let them get passed. Are they still able to challenge the test? Absolutely. Can we stop them? No. So we try our best at the JTAC to, really push back and, tell them that we're going to kick them out of their apprenticeship and all those types of things. In the end, the person has the ability to challenge the exam and become a journey person. So that's not within our purview to force them to do anything. We'd like to, whips and chains and things like that, but it's not capable. So
Yeah. I know, no problems. Thank you.